All right, this is the inverses practice number 2 video. I only have 2 questions on here. We're going to do number 6 and number 7 just to make sure that we can find our inverses and do the composition. So number 6 says verify that these two functions f and g are inverses. It gives you the reminder that you need to complete 2 compositions. That would be finding f of g of n, and then we'll also find g of f of n. So let's start with this, f of g. You're going to take the function of g and put it into the function of f. So that's this bottom function is going to go up, in for n in the top function. So when we do that, let's start by writing f. Negative 16 plus our n over 4. Now in the parentheses there, you're going to put your 4n plus 16. Now when we combine them, that numerator is just negative 16 plus 4n plus 16. Notice that negative 16 and positive 16 are going to cancel each other out, which gives you 4n over 4, which equals n. That's a good thing. That's what we are looking for. All right, so that's the first composition. Our second composition takes the function of f into g. So this time, you're going to take that entire top function, the whole fraction, and put it into g for n. So we start with g, put a spot for our x, plus 16. Right? Now this whole fraction, negative 16 plus n over 4 goes in. Now here, I can cancel off these 4's right away and make that negative 16 plus n plus 16. Well, notice negative 16 plus 16 adds to 0, so that composition equals n. Since both composition equals n, you can say that yes, these are inverses of each other. That's our goal. All right, number 7. Find the inverse of each function and then graph both equations. Well, let's start with graphing this equation that we're given, and then we'll find the inverse. This first equation is starting at negative 1. B is negative 1. And our slope is negative 1 over 5. So that means you go down 1, right 5. And let's go up the other direction as well here. So that equation, let's see, go from here to here. There we go. That's our equation of the line. Now, there we go, a little longer. So that's our first function, that's f of x. Now to find the inverse, remember, if you're starting with f of x, you can change that f of x, that's the same thing as y. Y equals negative 1 minus 1/5 x. To start finding the inverse, you have to switch the letters, x and y. So we'll rewrite this as x equals negative 1 minus 1/5 y. Now we just need to get y by itself. So we'll start by adding 1 to both sides, which will give you x plus 1 equals negative 1/5 y. And you need to clear the denominator of this fraction by multiplying every term by 5. That gives you 5x plus 5 equals negative 1y. Well, now I'm going to divide every term by negative 1 so that I get the equation negative 5x minus 5 equals y. That is the equation of your inverse, which now, remember, that's f inverse of x. Now we can graph on our grid. Our y-intercept's at negative 5. That's our b. And our slope is negative 5 as well. I can't go down 5. I run out of room. So I'm going to go the other direction of 5 and left 1. Then I have, let's see, this equation right here, or that graph, I'm sorry. That's f inverse. And you should notice that those two graphs look like they reflect. And remember what line they reflect over? They reflect over this line, y equals x. If you have other questions on this practice, check on Canvas. The answers are on the back of the worksheet, or you can ask your teacher for help.